Okay, well, to everyone who's here right now, thank you for joining us. We're going to spend a few more minutes just tuning and getting ready, and then I'll start with a short introduction. Okay. So, thank you everyone for being here. My name is James Blanchard, and I'm the principal flutist of the Des Moines Symphony. I'm joined on piano by Christopher James Ray, who's the resident conductor of Opera San Jose, and he's been glad enough to play for me today. And we've got a nice short program of some French music for you. Works by Fauré, René Breton, and Poulenc. And we're going to start with the Fauré Fantasy, which was written in, 1898. Fauré was considered one of France's most revered composers, and he had a long history of pedagogy at the Paris Conservatory and influenced many composers long after him. The piece was dedicated to Paul Taffanel, who was a French flutist that really ushered in a new school of flute playing because of the advancements made on the modern flute. And the new instrument allowed for greater expression and virtuosity, which you'll be able to hear in this. So, yeah, hope you enjoy. So there you go. I have to say it is kind of strange to be performing with no audience, but I hope you're enjoying it. Before I go on, I just wanted to say that I'm very grateful for everyone who's taking the time to listen and just take a break from whatever it is that you're doing during this very strange time for all of us. If you're able to, please submit some questions into the chat, and I'll try my best to answer some of them, or hopefully someone at the symphony will be sending me some questions to answer for you. Yeah. Now I'm going to be playing a piece, a Passacaglia by René Béton, and unfortunately there's not much I can tell you about him because he wasn't, I guess, famous enough to warrant knowing about him. But he wrote this wonderful little jewel of a piece for flute and piano, and something that I've always enjoyed about French composers is that they tend to gravitate towards tradition and rely on older classical forms of music and structure as a way to give them guidelines so that they can explore harmony and melody and rhythm. And I think that that comes across really well in this piece, so I hope you enjoy. I'm going to take a short break and I'll answer some questions for you. Let's see. Let's see. Max asks, not that you're taking requests, but do I like Debussy's Syrinx, and what other pieces do I recommend for solo flute? I love Syrinx. It's a piece that was written in the early 1900s, I believe, by Debussy, and Debussy wrote so well for the flute. There are so many wonderful pieces that feature the flute from his orchestral writing, like Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun, which opens with a beautiful, sensuous solo, and it's like a flute concerto throughout the entire piece. La Mer has a wonderful flute part. And Syrinx, I think, follows in that same vein. It's very atmospheric and symbolic in a way, and just beautiful. Some pieces that I really enjoy for solo flute are one that comes to mind is Cassandra's Dream Song by Brian Ferneyhough. It's much different from Syrinx. It's written by an English composer named Brian Ferneyhough, and it was written in the 1970s, and it features a lot of extended techniques for flute, like key clicking and like screaming into your flute, and mild improvisation. And that's always been a lot of fun for me to play. Another piece is the Barrios Sequenza, which is also very different from Syrinx. It's very atonal and very serialized and rhythmically very complex, and that's also a lot of fun to play. Yeah, there's just such a variety out there that you really can't go wrong choosing anything. Let's see. Let's see. I'll go to the chat here and see if there are any questions. Okay, well, I guess that was the only question. I'm going to swab my flute out real quick. Let's see.
Another question?
She said, no other questions, but so far, lots of applause. Oh. Okay, so for the last piece of the program, it's another piece that I have been playing, not since I started playing the flute, which was about 16 years ago, I think, but it's a piece that I've been playing for almost that long, and it's very dear to my heart, and I love playing it every time it comes up. It's the Flute Sonata by Francis Poulenc. Any flutist that you talk to will tell you how it's a staple in the repertoire and how it has this just eternal inventiveness about it that keeps it, every time you hear it, it just sounds so fresh and new. And yeah, it's just a great joy to play. Francis Poulenc, during his lifetime, was always considered to be very childlike and lighthearted and irreverent, and you can definitely hear that throughout this piece. And alongside that lightheartedness and like not taking yourself too seriously attitude, he was still able to convey really deep and powerful emotions that that aren't necessarily so obvious, but I think inform the large piece as a whole. Jessica asks, and I'm pretty sure this is coming from my mom, so hello, Mom. She asks, for all the aspiring musicians out there, what wisdom can I offer regarding the discipline of practice? I can say that you can never stop getting better at whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's music or any other hobby that you take seriously. There are times when it's hard to find the motivation and the reason to keep going, but for me, I just have a great love of music and of playing the flute and playing with other musicians, and I know that definitely feeds my drive to keep getting better and better. But it definitely does take diligence and at some points forcing yourself to practice so that you can get better and so that you can keep reaching new levels of expression and musicality. I don't know, just trying to find ways of finding something new to explore, or I don't know, playing games with yourself so that you can keep things interesting when all else fails. But I don't know, just keep going, and things will keep getting better. Let's see if there's any more questions before we begin. Yeah. So I'll take one more A, and then this will be Francis Poulenc's Flute Sonata. Well, I'll stay on here for a little bit longer in case there are any more questions. Please feel free to ask away.
Thank you to Dane.
Yes,
Flores.
you can't see him, but we have had a wonderful studio engineer by the name of Dane Suarez.
A lot of my
He's
friends are watching. Never closer than 6 feet away.
right. He's provided us with a wonderful microphone and helped us get all of this situated, so we wouldn't be here today without him, so thank you. And thank you again to Christopher Ray. Let's see, here's another question. Oh. Yeah, okay. So I started playing with the Des Moines Symphony 2 years ago. They had an audition for second flute, which I won in May of 2018, and then I started that season, or the next season, playing a second flute, and that was great. I had a wonderful time playing second flute, and then at the end of the season, I was appointed as acting principal because the person who was playing acting principal left. And then I recently won the audition for Principal Flute this past February. So I couldn't be happier about my place in the symphony. I think it's a wonderful place to grow, and I've had so much fun playing there, and I can't wait for the next season, which will hopefully be right on track. But yeah, also in the month of February, within the same week, I won the principal flute position for the Opera San Jose Orchestra here in San Jose. So that was a pretty big week for me, and I'm proud of what I was able to achieve. So thankfully the schedules don't conflict too much, so I'll be able to go back and forth between my home here and Des Moines and just make great music everywhere I go, hopefully. Let's see. My cousin Jennifer wants me to play Peter and the Wolf, so I guess I'll do that really quick. This is actually, before I started playing the flute, my dad was a middle school band director in Las Cruces, and every summer they have a band camp for all the middle schoolers and incoming middle schoolers. And I went to the band camp, and I thought I had wanted to play clarinet, and I went through that week playing the clarinet, but they did demonstrations on all the instruments for all the beginners to help them, decide what they wanted to play. And the person who was demonstrating flute played this excerpt from Peter and the Wolf, and hopefully you'll understand why after I play it, but after that I was just, I was obsessed with playing flute. So I hope I don't mess up. That sounded pretty good. Let's see. My friend James asks, what's my favorite part about playing with the Des Moines Symphony? I don't know. I feel like it's a place where I can play. I'm able to grow and experiment with my orchestral playing that I think wouldn't necessarily be possible at a larger orchestra like the New York Philharmonic. I feel like if I were to play in an ensemble like that, I would need to, know exactly how I'm going to play every single note with a fully formed idea, which isn't to say that that's not how I approach playing in the Des Moines Symphony, but I think that I'm able to experiment for my own sake much more and figure out how I want to communicate in an orchestra and function within the orchestra. And yeah, I've since playing there, I've been very grateful for that opportunity. And I'm still grateful that my colleagues put up with me when I am a bit hard-headed, so thank you to everyone who has to deal with me. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. I'm not sure if I can. Yeah, I can talk about where I studied. So after I started playing the flute, I grew up in Las Cruces, New Mexico, so I was just involved in the middle school programs there and the high school programs. But in my sophomore year of high school, I went to the Interlochen summer music program. And that was my first real exposure to a lot of other young people who were as devoted to classical music and playing their instruments as I was. So that was a really eye-opening moment for me. I think it was a big fish in a small pond going to a little fish going to a huge pond. So it provided a lot of inspiration for me to, get my stuff together and practice a lot harder. And but it continued to fuel my passion for music. So I was very fortunate to be able to do that. And I did that for 2 summers, and then I ended up going to the Interlochen Arts Academy for my last year of high school. And that was just, a continuation of everything that I was experiencing the 2 summers previous. And then from there, I went to Rice University, where I studied at the Shepherd School of Music with Leon Bicey, who continues to be just a pillar of flute pedagogy for young people. She was a fabulous teacher for me and mentor, and continues to be a great life coach when I need her to be. So I was there for 4 years, and then I went to the Juilliard School in New York City, where I studied with Robert Langevin, who is the current principal flutist of the New York Philharmonic. And I'll go back to what my mom asked about diligence. I feel like while I was at Juilliard, I really learned, thanks to my teacher there, I really learned how to be diligent with myself and consistent with my, with how I approach practicing, and just working out technical difficulties that I was having that were preventing me from expressing how I wanted to express. So I'm very grateful to Robert for that, and for my time at Juilliard. Again, it was like going from a relatively small pond in Houston to, New York City and Juilliard. So that was an unbelievable experience. And then while I was at Juilliard, that's when I won the job at the Des Moines Symphony, and I continued living in New York for a year before moving here to San Jose. And I've been here for about, almost exactly a year. I think this week will mark the year-long period that I've been here. So, I can't wait to figure out what's next for me, and especially what's next after all this coronavirus stuff is over, which hopefully will be soon. Cicely asks, she happens to know that I'm an impeccable chef and baker. Thank you, Cicely. I mentioned hobbies. Do those hobbies feed your professional artistic work? I think so. I think that they definitely offer an escape for me when I feel like I need some different outlet to express myself, or just, whenever I need something else to do besides playing the flute. And I love eating, and I love food. So I think that it's an easy thing for me to be able to do and enjoy doing most of the time. And like music, with food, there's an infinite number of things you can do. You can experiment and, really work hard at getting good at the fundamentals, which feel like I haven't really done, so maybe this Sicily or question, I think, has inspired me to really get to know my knife skills and things like that. But yeah, I think they're one and the same. You're providing something for someone else to enjoy as well as yourself. But I think creating food or creating music, you're always doing it with the intention of bringing joy to someone else, which I think, you know, is what it's all about. Yeah. Well, there aren't any more questions right now, but
It's probably good.
Dane, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone who took the time to listen to us play. I know I had a lot of fun playing, and I hope Christopher did as well. And I hope everyone enjoyed what we had to offer. I hope everyone is able to stay safe and healthy and sane with their loved ones. So I hope everyone, yeah, has a wonderful rest of their day, and I'll see some of you soon. So, goodbye everyone.